Well, hey, good morning, California Community Church. Man, it's great to be with all of you this morning. I hope you've had a wonderful morning so far. My name is Brent. I'm one of the pastors here, and I'm hoping to meet all of you face to face soon as we start to get people back in the building. It's been great to connect with people, to see them, even behind the masks. It's been wonderful to meet you. I'm grateful that you guys are coming back, and it's just been good to be here with you guys. So hopefully this morning will be special for you because it's special for me. Because I get to share about something that is really kind of dear to my heart, something that's impacted my family and I for years. So I want to start by asking you a question. Here's the deal. What is something that means so much to you that you never miss a day of it? What's something that you will never miss every day in your life? You know, maybe it's a daily phone call to a family member, or maybe it's your health routine because that's important to you. Maybe it's a TV show or a book. You just can't get enough of it. Well, now for my wife, it's coffee and Oreos, but, but for real, there are things that we desire, that we long for, that we think about, and we literally adjust our lives so that we make sure they're a priority for us. Well, today I want to talk about one of those things that should be a priority for all of us and is for many of us. That is being in community. Well, what is community? Well, community is, simply it's our circle of friends. It's our tribe. It's our group of people that we've found deep relationship in, and it's where we find support. It's where we found people that have similar passions and desires as us. And you know when you found your tribe, your community, when you're seen and heard. You know you're in a safe place. You know you're loved unconditionally. You're eager to spend more time together. In its simplest form, a community is an organized group of individuals that are unified by a common trait. Now, in the church, that can be something really special. You know, in my years in the church, I have seen the church community step up in times of need and do some incredible things. I've watched people take people to chemotherapy because they wanted to be there on the journey and just be close to people that are walking through a tough season of life. I've seen church community people, individuals, learn how to care for special needs kids so that they can babysit for families that desperately need nights out, some time away. And I've watched church families open their windows, their doors, their houses to kids in their neighborhood and from their church community so that they can have a safe place to do life together and just to enjoy other kids in their presence and time together. Look, in the church, we're a group of Jesus followers, and as Jesus followers, we spend time growing our faith. We learn more about our faith. Where do we do that? We do that in our church community. And as followers of Jesus, our lives are always changing. They should be healing, growing, transforming, and this happens best when we're in community together. Now, Pastor Brad and I spend time teaching the Word to you. Now, here's what we do. We want to give you tools. We want to give you truths that help you become better Jesus followers. But to become better Jesus followers, you do that in community. You do that with each other. You do that in homes, at parks, around fire pits. You do that around dinner tables. You do that talking with each other, praying with each other, caring for each other. You take the truths and the tools you've been given, and then you grow deeper in your love with Jesus and each other. Now, you may be a person here today that says, I'm not really a Jesus follower yet. I'm trying to figure this thing out. I got lots of questions, lots of doubts. I just am not quite there. You know what? This is a great place for you to be because we all have doubts. We all have questions. And as Jesus followers, as people that say we're Jesus followers, we often don't know everything that we need to know to make our faith increase and grow. We need this community to do that. So you're in a safe place. You're in a great place. You're welcome here as you study and learn more about Jesus. So, a community is an organized group of individuals unified by a common trait. Well, what is a church community? A church community is an organized group of individuals unified by a common trait. What's that common trait? Right, it's Jesus. Jesus is our unified common trait. Now, here's what I want to do this morning. I want to talk about church community, and I want to give you 3 signs that you're a part of a church community and actively involved in a church community. Just 3 things that are character traits of being a person involved in a church community. Here's the first thing I want to do. I want to talk about Jesus. As an individual in a church community, you follow. You are committed to following Jesus. You believe who he says he was, and you believe what he did for us. Look, following Jesus is much more about what we do than what we say. It's more about learning about Jesus and then becoming like Jesus. So we choose to follow Jesus so we can understand Jesus more, to become more like Jesus. It's about our lives being transformed, kind of from the inside out. We change from the inside out. And when you change and when I change, when we follow Jesus together, incredible things happen in us, in our community here at California Community Church, and outside our community with the people we mingle with. The Apostle Paul spoke to the church in Rome, and he said this. So here's what I want you to do. God helping you, take your everyday, ordinary life, your sleeping, eating, going to work, and walking around life, and place it before God as an offering. Embracing what God does for you is the best thing you can do for him. Don't become so well adjusted to your culture that you fit into it even without thinking. Instead, fix your attention on God. You'll be changed from the inside out. Readily recognize what he wants from you and quickly respond to it. Unlike the culture around you, always dragging you down to its level of immaturity, no, God brings the best out of you, develops well-formed maturity in you. So I think the challenge for all of us is to stay committed to following Jesus. We need to allow, then, what we're learning about Jesus to make us more like Jesus. A church community is united by our desire to know Jesus better. You heard our mission statement just a couple minutes ago. We want to introduce you to Jesus and to help you follow him. Well, how does that happen? You commit to this community. You commit to a church community that's on a journey of following Jesus together. I love the way the early church, the first people that organized as the church, show us how they lived out life together. It's incredible to watch them, and it talks about them in the Bible. And I want to share some of the things. Here's one of the things they did. All the believers devoted themselves to the apostles, teaching and to fellowship and to sharing in meals, including the Lord's Supper, and to prayer. Now look at that verse again. I think we could look at that verse and say, you know what? All those things we do Sunday morning. We devote ourselves to teaching, to fellowship, to communion, Lord's Supper, to prayer. But I want to tell you, the early church looked very different than the church does now. They were committed to doing everything they could to get closer to Jesus and closer to each other. It wasn't just about Sunday morning. It was about every moment of every day intentionally living out their faith together. Now, please hear me. Don't get me wrong. Sunday morning is fantastic. I love that you're online with us today. I love that people show up here in our building together. Sunday morning is a fantastic time to see our friends, to listen to teaching, to sing songs. But please hear me. Without an intentional desire to know Jesus more, Sunday can be no more than just something you do. It can become just a time of entertainment, just a part of stuff we have, a part of our week. Following Jesus requires we become more like him. It does. It requires that we stay true to following him so that we can understand him better. Now, we need encouragement on that journey, and we can't do that alone. And that's what I want to talk to you next. So, as an individual in a church community, you follow, you commit to following Jesus, and here's the next thing you do. You gather. You commit to meeting with others. A church community that is thriving is gathering together and making our time together a priority in our life. Look back at the early church again. Check this out. And all the believers met together in one place and shared everything they had. They sold their property and possessions. They shared the money with those in need. They worshiped together at the temple each day, met in homes for the Lord's Supper, and shared their meals with great joy and generosity. Did you hear that? They went to church every day. But church was much more about just we always experience on Sunday morning. It was really about being together so that they could grow together. Now, when we read about the early church, we see two things, kind of two perspectives. One of that is that community has proximity. Community is all about literally being together. The other thing community has is frequency. It's about how often we are together. And true community, true church community, healthy community doesn't happen without us together and together often. Now, I want to stop for a minute and recognize that this has been a difficult year for community, for all of us, with our families, with our friends, with work, with church, with activities, It's been difficult, but we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So grateful for that. And I'm so proud of you guys for the way you just kind of adapted to things as best you can. You made more phone calls, you FaceTime more, you got on Zoom meetings. I know people that went to parks and stayed 20, 30 feet away and just kind of hung out with there so they were in safe places. But it's been a difficult year. Now, one of the things we like to remind people is that California Community Church never shut down. We just adapted to the situations and circumstances that we had. We moved Sunday mornings to online, and we're so grateful for each of you online that has stayed connected to us this last year. We moved different ministries to different locations. You know what? We started a food ministry during the pandemic to help those that might be going through issues during this season. Now, our building's beginning to open again. It's awesome. I love that. And you know what that means? We are seeing that we are becoming more able every day to be face-to-face. It's time to be face-to-face again. There are smart people that have studied relationships, our connection with people, and they found that they're crucial to our mental and physical well-being. We have an inherent desire to be close to others. People want to connect and build relationships, and this year has been hard. We've been disconnected and sometimes alone. And some of us, maybe even that's led to some depression and anxiety because we haven't had the community around us that we normally have or that we could fall back on. But we do now. It's time. We need to be face to face again. We need to be in this room on Sunday mornings. We need to be in our small groups and in people's homes. We need to be around dinner tables and at the sidelines with friends and family supporting our kids and our groups. We need to be with each other again. See, church is not about this building. The church is you. Church is a movement of people headed towards Jesus with each other, spending time together, committed to one another. Now, all of us are wired for community. I get that. But some of us are wired for maybe a little less gathering time than others. You know, I see you introverts. I got your back right here. So I'm a little more of an extrovert, so I just want to speak to the extroverts, just say, hey guys, be aware of some of us that love to get together, but maybe not as much as the rest of us. But community can still happen in those ways. And I'm just going to give you a couple tips. If you kind of one of those people that's like, you know, I think I've been here long enough, or how do we get the people out of the house? Here's two little tips for you. Well, here's one thing. When you're with your group and it's time, you know, you just kind of, you want to end the night, just get up from your seat, head to your bedroom, change into your pajamas. And then come back out and sit down in the seat and act surprised that everybody's still there. Okay, maybe here's another one. If you have a significant other with you, maybe just reach over and say, hey, well, we should probably go to bed so these people can leave now. Well, all kidding aside, it is time to be face-to-face again, in whatever capacity we are capable. My wife and Tam and I experienced this need to be face-to-face when we lived in Nashville. We had a really difficult time finding community. We were planting a church, and we were very busy. And one day my wife came to me and she said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to start calling people. I'm just going to open up our home Monday nights. Just say, hey, it's open invitation. Come on down. We're going to hang out together. No agenda, just show up. So she started calling people. She found people that we knew needed community, that were looking for community. We reached out to people that we wanted to have community with. And you know what happened? It was pretty incredible. The first week we opened our house, we had 8 adults and 24 kids show up. People wanted community. They were desperate for it. And we were so blessed by that. Now, we realized very quickly that our home could not handle that group of people. So we reached out. There was a couple that was looking for community. They had a huge house, a huge yard, and they said, we'd love to open our home. And we called this thing Meaty Monday. And I'll tell you why. We ended up having over 50 adults and kids at Meaty Monday. So what was Meaty Monday? Well, we had it every Monday night. Standing invitation, never shut it down. If a home couldn't host, we moved it to another place. It never quit all year round. And what we did was you brought your meat to be grilled and a side dish and maybe a dessert. And then I would grill up the meat, or some of us would grill up the meat, and then we would just hang out. No agenda. We'd just be with each other. So those Mondays were awesome. Sometimes there was prayer involved, and there was always laughing, and sometimes there were games. And, you know, some nights we got more serious. We got kind of real with each other. We shared our hearts, and God did some pretty incredible things in that time. Now, let me ask you for a second. You might be excited about something like this. Like, we really enjoyed our time together. So let's encourage each other. What would a meaty Monday look like for you? What would it look like attending one? What would it look like opening your home? Just giving a call to people and saying standing invitation. You know what was really cool is that some of the people at Meaty Monday felt so welcomed and at home that they started inviting other people that they know needed community. They didn't even ask, and they didn't need to. This was a place that was open for all. We eventually had to split it up into smaller Meaty Monday groups, and they were going all over Nashville. It was fantastic. But what would it look like you to host a Meaty Monday? Maybe it's not grilling and cooking out. Maybe it's just opening your house and having people come over to watch a movie or doing something you like together. You know, I want to share something with you here that's going to be kind of exciting. Pastor Brad, in the next couple weeks, is going to kind of unveil this to us, but we are going to be starting California Community Church Clubs, Cal Church Clubs. This is an opportunity for like-minded, like-passioned people to get together, build community, and do things they love together. You know, we've heard Pastor Brad, he's been talking about scuba diving lately. Maybe he and a group of people that have an affinity for scuba diving will join a group and they'll hang out every once in a while because they have that love. I know people in our church that love to hike. What if we started a hiking group and what you guys did was you showed up to hike and then you just started getting to know each other? I have an affinity for coffee, man. I'd love to start a coffee group where we sit down at different coffee shops each week and just enjoy our time talking and seeing where God leads those conversations. That's incredible community. So in the next few weeks, be watching for Cal Church Clubs. You know, one of the greatest blessings we experienced in our Meaty Monday was the consistent encouragement we received every single week. The Apostle Paul said it this way when he wrote a letter to the church in Thessalonica. He was pretty proud of them and wanted to affirm them. He said this, "So speak encouraging words to one another. Build up hope so you'll all be together in this. No one left out, no one left behind. I know you're already doing this, just keep on doing it." You know, at Meeting Monday, we started with a focus of just, we want to connect with people. We just need to find community. And it grew into so much more. There were times we dug in and we got serious. There were nights where we spent serious time with each other, dealing with health issues and talking about relationships and how to walk through some of those things happening in our life. And there were times we got to celebrate birthdays and new babies and milestones in life and graduations. It was an incredible time where we got real with each other on every level. Well, let me ask you, who can you get real with? Do you have a group right now that you know is a safe place for you? That you can pick up the phone and say, we need to get together. I've got some things I need to share. I need your encouragement. Do you have a group that you can say, I want to encourage you? Guys, I've seen this happening. Let's get together. I just want to speak life into you. I just want to encourage you and care for you this week. We all need this. We all need this unified group of people following Jesus, committing to gathering together. This is a safe place. Cal Church is a safe place. And again, if you're seeking out Jesus for the first time and trying to figure out if he's a part of your life, come be with us. We're committing to follow Jesus, and we hope you will too. This is a welcoming place and a safe place for you to do that. You know, one of the close followers of Jesus was named James. He said in his letter that we should talk about failures. We should talk about our mistakes. We should talk about our fears. Well, why would we do that? Well, there's a couple reasons we do that. One is it gives us accountability. It lets other people in on our life, and that's what community does. We get real with each other, and then we can hold each other accountable and encourage and support people as we're walking through things. But the other reason is sometimes when we're walking through a season of life, going through something that's painful or hurtful, we often feel alone. And we're not meant to do this alone. You know, I don't know what you're walking through right now. It's been a tough year, so there's a lot of things going on, but there may be a relationship issue or a separation coming up. There may be stresses with raising kids and family members, and there may be work issues and maybe even a loss of life. Whatever you're walking through right now, I know it can feel very alone, but I promise you there are people in this church community at Cal Church that have walked through things like that. And I know that you would be blessed to walk through your season with them, and they would love to walk through your season with you. You know what's really cool? Some people are going through these things at the same time, but some of us have walked through seasons of trials and struggle, and we've gone through the healing process. We've had this incredible moment with Jesus, and we are healed from what we've walked through. Now, imagine you're walking through this, and you share that with this person. This person is now able to come along your side, know exactly what you're going through, and they've been to the other side of your distress, of your hurt, of your pain. But guess what? That doesn't happen unless we're face to face. We have to commit to gather together. And we're able to start doing that now more and more. Let's get face to face again. So as an individual in a church community, you follow. You commit to following Jesus. As an individual in a church community, you gather, you commit to being together. And here's the final thing I want you to hear, and this is really important. As an individual in a church community, you grow. You commit to growing together. Now, I want you to see a couple things here because that seems really simple. Okay, let me explain it. Let me get a little deeper with that. There are two distinct qualities of growing together, two characteristics. Remember earlier when I mentioned community has two things as well, proximity, being together, and frequency, how often we are together. Well, the phrase growing together suggests two things as well, and here's what they are. One is we are side by side together. We are moving towards something. That's Jesus. We are following Jesus and growing together in understanding and knowing Him more. But here's the other thing. We are growing close together because we are face to face. We are growing towards Jesus, but we are growing towards each other in relationship and in our love for one another. So growing is side by side, kind of like students sitting in a classroom, but it's also face to face in relationship with each other. I love, again, how the early church exemplified this for us. And we've read some of this, but I want to add some more. Look at this. They worshiped together at the temple each day, met in homes for the Lord's Supper, and shared their meals with great joy and generosity, all the while praising God and enjoying the goodwill of all the people. And each day the Lord added to their fellowship those who were being saved. Do you hear that? Because of what was going on in their community and the way they represented themselves to each other and to the world around them, people wanted to be a part of that. I love this quote from well-known theologian Francis Schaeffer. It says, "The family of God, the body of Christ, the church, the community we experience, California Community Church, should be the ultimate and final proof of God to everyone. At the end of the day, the definitive proof is in the way we relate to one another, the way we connect with each other, the way we love each other, the way we are in relationship with each other." Jesus said it this way. He said, "The world will know us by our love for each other." Now that's profound. Listen to this. How do we learn something? How do we know about something? Well, we listen to someone speak about it. We listen to a podcast. We read a book about it. Maybe we watch a documentary. And so we learn about something, and then we're able to kind of take that information of what we now know and kind of apply it to our life in some way. But here's what's special about what Jesus said, and here's what's special about being a Jesus follower. Jesus said, do you know how they know you, the church? Do you know how they know me, Jesus? Not by learning about us, not by reading about us, not about listening to a speaker talk about us. No, by experiencing us, by the way we love each other. Isn't that incredible? The world around us needs to feel us. They need to know us by our love for each other and for others. In March of 2017, a friend of ours went through a tragic season. Treva is her name. She has 2 sons and a daughter, and the 2 sons were on a hunting trip with the father, and on the way back, the 16-year-old was driving the car, and he lost control and crashed the car. And the boys were injured but okay, but Dad lost his life right there on the scene. Treva's church community jumped in immediately to the point that they were even on scene with her, with the police and everything going on. They donated services, therapy. They donated food. They were a listening ear. They were a shoulder to cry on. This went on for months. In fact, people from her church community actually moved into her home to be with her and the kids. They lived with them. They remodeled hers and her husband's bedrooms so that it could be easier for Treva to sleep in. New bed, new furniture, new everything. They cared for her husband's belongings in a way that it supported their love for him, but also let them have some space to start grieving and to heal. Treva's church community never left her side. 4 years later, they're even more a part of her life. There wasn't a moment Treva and her kids felt alone. That church community jumped in seconds to care. And you know what? That's inspiring people now. Treva now has a flourishing, thriving ministry to widows. Her kids are doing fantastic. The daughter just went out to college. This family is well because of the way their church community cared for them, and other people have seen that. Let me get a little serious right now. There are Trevas in this room right now. There's Trevas online with us today. You've walked through hurt, or are currently walking through hurt, loss, pain, heartache, fear. You're desperately needing answers, a way to heal. You're needing someone to come around you. You need to be seen and heard. You need to be cared for, and you just don't know how to go about that. We need that community. You need that community that Treva had. Let me go a step farther. There are Trevas outside this room right now. People not a part of California Community Church that live in our neighborhoods, go to our schools, work with us, that are walking through hurt, pain, heartache, fear. They're looking for answers. They're looking for a way to heal. Do they know about California Community Church? Now, I'm not talking about the building or a location. I'm talking about you, the people. Do they know California Community Church is here for them? Do we have a community that is built and strong, that we pursue Jesus together, we meet together, we are growing together in such a way that we're becoming more like Jesus, and because we're loving each other and becoming more like Jesus, people outside of our church community are also being impacted and changed by who we're becoming and by who Jesus is. Do they know we're here? Do they know we're ready for them? You know, I think that's the work that's before us. That's the tough work that's before us. You each are a part of this church community. Cal Church is your home. Some of you are calling it your home for the first time. Some of you have been for years at Cal Church. But you're each a part of this community. So I want to just say two more things that I think. One is you have some opportunities this week. And then I want to show you how that may look like for you and how you just kind of respond to this morning. One is an opportunity to make sure that what you know about Jesus is making you more like Jesus. That's an opportunity this week. Now, what would that look like? Well, it may be taking some time and asking God to show you the areas of your life where you need to become more like Jesus, more loving. And you know what? Maybe you have friends and family and a community around you that's willing to help you on that journey and kind of speak into that journey for you. Or maybe the opportunity this week is to make gatherings a priority in your life. You know, the early church did that. They reprioritized their life. They were literally with each other daily. What do you have to do today to reprioritize your community here at California Community Church? What do you have to do today to make sure you're here on Sunday mornings? What do you have to do today to make sure you're a part of small groups? And maybe that is about recommitting to be face-to-face again. It's been a year of us out of the rhythm of going to church and being a part of groups and kind of our flow of things that we do as a church together. And I think in some ways that can be good because it's shocked us up a little bit. And we realize that even though we can have church community, and even though these doors are open again, that doesn't automatically mean we have community. We have to be intentional about being face-to-face again. We'd love to see you in this room next week, all of you. Now, another opportunity is to show the world who we are by the way we love each other and the way we love them. Maybe that's as simple as you coming up with a Meaty Monday idea this week. Taking a chance and calling a few people and saying, look, I've been wanting to get you know you guys. Why don't you come over and hang out? My house is open. Open invitation. Maybe it's about just calling up some friends that you've been a part of prior to this whole last year. What were you doing in community? And are you doing that again? Did it get taken away or slowed down or impacted by what's going on? And how do you restart that? How do you rekindle that? How do you get back together with your Saturday morning group or your bike riding group or your hiking? How do you do that? Well, we're going to help with the Cal Church clubs, I hope. But some of you had that before. It's time to start that again. Imagine what we can do as a church community and what we can be to this neighborhood around us and these cities around us when we follow Jesus, when we commit to gathering frequently, and we are changed by Jesus. As we care for each other, as we care for those outside our building, I think some incredible things can happen. And I pray for you this week that you are encouraged to just pick up a phone, start something, commit to being face-to-face with your community again. Let me pray for us today. God, we are so grateful to have the example of the early church, how passionate they were and unified in following you and being together and being changed, and it impacted and grew their churches in incredible ways because others wanted to be a part of that. God, we want to be that here at California Community Church. We're a church that's been growing for over 10 years, and we're a church that's going to be growing for the rest of our life. We're never done. But we know now, this week, we can make some real practical steps towards being back, face-to-face, passionate about our pursuit of Jesus together, and passionate about our pursuit of each other together. God, would you encourage us this week to keep our mind on that? What are we reprioritizing in our life, God, that we are making this Cal Church community more a part of our life today? We love you. I pray you are blessed by us together today. Lord, bless everyone that is listening today. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, guys, I hope that's encouraging to you, and you can always contact me if you ever have any questions or want to talk further about this, or even get some ideas about things like Meaty Monday or other stuff. My email is brent@calchurch.com. It's easy to get a hold of me.